Right guys, welcome back to the channel and to this new battle report with primarily a Primaris Space Marine army. The Blood Angels, they had their new recruits of Primaris Marines from Guilliman, and the Space Wolves are very kindly obliged in a training mission. So Martin's brought down a whole load of Grey Hunters to take on the elite forces of the Blood Angel Primaris Marines. So this abandoned city is where today's game is going to take place. It is a mission of Spoils of War, where each of the objective markers can be stolen by your opponent if they draw that numbered card. Interestingly enough, the rules have changed ever so slightly. Whoever has most secure Objective X cards at the end of the game scores an additional victory point. Today's game is filmed at Battle Bunker. Please check them out on Facebook. I will post a link in the description. There is a whole host of gaming tables for 40k, Age of Sigmar, and all sorts, and there's always games going on. So please check them out. So without further ado, let's have a quick look through the forces. Right, so here we go guys. This is 2,000 points of Blood Angels. I've got a Spearhead, I think it's a Vanguard, and we've got a battalion. So in the battalion with the 2 HQs and 3 troops choices, we have 2 lieutenants, one with a bolt rifle and one with, of course, a power sword. And we've got 3 troops, which is a unit of scout snipers with camo cloaks, and 2 squads of 5 intercessor marines. We've also got a Primaris Ancient with a bolt rifle as well. So he's going to be sitting back to hopefully dishing out some buffs. We've then got the captain in Gravis armor with his power sword, and he's going to be leading the heavy support detachment, which is a squad of Hellblasters, a Baal Predator with 2 heavy bolters, twin assault cannon and storm bolter, and making only his second ever appearance is the Leviathan Siege Dreadnought with a drill, a claw, 2 melter guns and 2 heavy flamers. And then the last detachment, the fast attack one, we've got the new Primaris Librarian. He can take his powers from Blood Angel, so he's going to take Blood Boil and Shield of Sanguinius. We've got a 5-man assault squad with 2 melter guns, and the sergeant has a power fist. And then we've got 2 interceptor squads as well. The Warlord is going to be the captain in Gravis power armor, and he's going to take the +1 attack when he charges for his Warlord trait. Right, so here we go. This is 2,000 points of Martin's Space Wolves. So we've got a Wolf Guard Battle Leader and a Wolf Lord, both with Storm Shield and Thunderhammers. We've got a unit of Terminators, all 2 with axes, 2 with swords, 1 with a fist, and we've got an assault cannon in there as well. We've got a mixed squad of Wolfen, a couple of claws and a couple of Thunderhammers and Storm Shields. Then we've got 4 units of Grey Hunters, and in each one we've got 2 Plasma, Combi Plasma and a Frost Axe. Same again here. Moving back, we've got 2 Flamers and a Combi Flamer, 2 Melters and a Combi Melter. And we've also got the Predator over this side with an auto cannon and 2 heavy bolters. And rounding it off, we've got the Stormfang gunship, which has a lot of Dakar on it and is going to be pretty scary. So that is 2,000 points of Martin's Space Wolves. So Martin won the roll-off for the objectives, which meant he had to place one first, and naturally I selected the deployment zone, which ended up being Dawn of War. So nice and easy, straight up for this training mission. And the objectives we've got is number 1, number 2, number 3, 4, number 5 in the Space Wolf deployment zone, and number 6 down here on this flank. So Martin has conveniently put his Terminators in reserve, and he's got the Wolfen and one of the Wolf Lords in the Stormfang. And because Martin is running big squads, he has a lot of models but a very few drops, which meant he finished deploying first, so he's going to get the go first. Meanwhile, my deployment, I've got Primaris Marines on the left and the right, and then I've got hopefully some guys in the centre that's going to dish out a few buffs. The Librarian, of course, the Captain and the Primaris Marine and Lieutenant, giving the Hellblasters and the Baal Predator some reroll goodness. We've got a Lieutenant on this flank as well to help with the rerolls for the Leviathan. And of course, all of the Assault Marines are in reserve, and the Scouts, well, they got shoved out of cover in favour of the Hellblasters. So, as I said, Martin is going first unless I can seize the initiative. Nope, so Space Wolves turn 1. Right, so Space Wolves turn 1. Martin has drew Big Game Hunter, Secure Objective 6, or Defend Objective 6 rather, and Domination. So interestingly enough, he hasn't gone on it. Do you want to move your Predator? Do you want to move your Predator across? Go for it. So he has to hold it for 2 turns. Now, interestingly enough, a turn is only a player turn. So as long as he has at least 1 model more than me there, within 3 inches of it at the end of my turn, he will score it. All of the Wolves basically have pushed forward at this side. And the Stormfang, unsurprisingly, is going for the Baal Predator. I think Martin's a little bit scared of that amount of DACA coming in against these Wolves. So let's move on to shooting and see how fast these Space Wolves can strike. So shooting phase, the Predator opened up with its auto cannon, and the heavy bolters have managed to slay one of the Primaris Marines and wound another. The Stormfang opened everything up at the Baal Predator and tore it apart. The las cannon first of all doing 6 wounds, a heavy bolter doing 1, and then the frost cannon finishing off. Martin rolling another 6, so he would have done 13 wounds altogether. And that is it for turn 1. Martin doesn't score anything yet apart from first blood. He needs to hold on to this during my turn. Big Game Hunter, yes he does. He does score Big Game Hunter for destroying that as well. He had to go everything into it, and within good reason as well. Right, so Blood Angels turn 1. I've got priority orders received. My Warlord must defend objective 4 for 2 turns. That ain't happening. I've got Scour the Skies and Supremacy, and Supremacy is going to be very difficult to get. So basically, to get Supremacy, I need to try and make this charge here with the Interceptors, but the Intercessor squad has pushed forward as well. Try and lend a hand, try and do a little bit of damage, see if we can make that 9-inch charge to get into that objective. If I can get it, and these guys coming this way can get rid of this, that'll score me Scour the Skies, but then I need to kill everything, or a lot of what gets out, in order to have more models here within 3 inches. Now, the only reason I've moved the Hellblasters is to make sure I get more models within 6. Within 3 rather, it used to be 6 inches, but yeah, so as a result I've also dropped the Assault Marines here to try and help blow this up with a few extra melter guns, and the Captain and the Lieutenant are going to help with some buffs there. In Martin's turn, sorry, I did roll to see if the Assault Cannon could fire as a result of the Primaris Ancient, but unfortunately I only rolled a 2. The Marines at this side have pushed forward to lend some support and fire into these guys, but the Interceptors again are going to push down, dropping 9 inches away to try and make a charge in and get close enough to this objective. So it's hit and miss. I've got 1 with a chance of potentially 3 more. Let's see what happens in the Psychic and the shooting phase. So shooting phase, of course, I do get Scour the Skies because the Stormfang is no more. Now, I did try and soften it up as much as possible. I've hoped that the melter guns from these guys and the 2 that were in range from the Leviathan, plus the bolters here, would do enough damage, but it didn't. It was left on 6 wounds. So I opened up with overcharged Hellblasters, re-rolling 1s. Unfortunately, 1 did bite the dust, but I actually had a phenomenal roll, getting loads of hits, and actually did the additional 10 wounds to the Stormfang. In the Psychic phase, though, I did get Shield of Sanguinius off on the Hellblasters, so they are a little bit more survivable. I don't know whether to charge in here or not. Obviously, Martin has deployed the Wolfen further back to keep out of firing range. He knows that he's going to get the move forward. He doesn't want to be charged, but the interesting thing is if I do charge him, he's probably then going to interrupt if I go with multiple units, and I don't know if it's worth giving up an entire unit for that. I might chance the Overwatch while I'm re-rolling some wounds. But over here, the Scouts opened up at the Wolf Lord and managed to get a single mortal wound. Across this side, the Interceptors and the Intercessors managed to do 5 wounds in total to the Predator, and needs another wound gone in order for it to be knocked down one of its ballistic skill pegs. And at this side, these Marines and the Interceptors at this side did a few casualties to this squad here. So I've got control of 2 objectives. I just need to make one of the charges with the interceptors and hope that I can score one of the other objective markers. Charge phase. Down here I lost one of the interceptors to Overwatch and then rolled me charge distance, and I rolled a 5 and a 3. Command pointed to 3 and just unfortunately got another 3. I just needed a 4 to make that 9-inch charge to score that, and that would have gotten me supremacy because it's unlikely that Martin would have killed an entire model over there. Meanwhile at this side, these guys failed the charge as well, rolling a double 1. So believe it or not, I only scour the skies, but I am going to discard defend objective 4 with me Warlord, because leaving him there in front of all them wolves is not a good point. So let's move on to Space Wolves turn 2. Right, so Space Wolves turn 2. Martin's got no prisoners, basically kill stuff, and then defend objective 6, which obviously, actually, you would have scored that last turn. So we'll get rid of that and draw another one, but he's drew Witch Hunter, which is kill my Psyker. Right, so interesting question that's just come up. Martin's just drew priority orders received, and it's number 66, which means the Warlord has to score whatever card Martin then draws, and it states he can be the only unit that can do it. However, the card that Martin drew is Hold the Line, which states 3 units have to be in your deployment zone. But the Warlord is only 1 unit, and he can be the only unit to do it. So, for the purposes of this game, we're going to discard Hold the Line and put it back into the deck somewhere, and basically redraw another card for that. Right, so we've redrawn that, and Martin is getting Defend Objective 2, which is here, and his Warlord is right over here. So it is physically possible to do, it's just going to take him a couple of turns to do it, so that's why we're not discarding that. So movement phase, these guys of course have all pushed forward looking to take out the interceptors. The Wolves here have pushed forward, whilst the Predator has stayed still to potentially take out them interceptors. But the Wolfen are coming for the Assault Marines, and the Terminators at this side dropped in 9 inches away from these Marines, and Martin is going to try and collapse this flank, he reckons. So let's move on to shooting and see what the Blood Angels have left. So it looks as though the Space Wolves are starting to falter in this training mission, or are they letting the Blood Angels think that they are getting away with something? Combined fire from the Predator and the Grey Hunters managed to take down 1 more interceptor over here. The Terminators over here killed 1 intercessor, and all the fire from all of these Grey Hunters did 1 wound on to the interceptors there. And these Grey Hunters did 1 wound to this Hellblaster here as well, so not a great round of shooting for Martin. But onto combat, we're probably going to see some brutality here, especially with these Wolfen. So in the assault phase, as expected, the claws alone tore through the Assault Marines here. The reason Martin didn't go for the Hellblasters is because they had a 4 invulnerable and he didn't want to get caught up. The Terminators failed the charge, but the Grey Hunters down here made it in against the interceptors. I did use my command points to interrupt Martin, and I managed to kill 1 more. I wanted to make sure that I didn't lose that model that was already wounded, and thankfully it paid off. So there's 3 of each of us here. So yeah, Martin did score no prisoners for 1 point for killing the Assault Marines here. So I drew Defend Objective 1. I've still got Supremacy, and I've got Defend Objective 2. Right, so movement phase. The interceptors have fell back out of combat. Unfortunately, only 1 of them is going to be within reach of this Terminator squad up here, and then the intercessors are going to help lend a little bit of support and fire to try and take them down. I need to hold this objective for 2 turns, so obviously they've garrisoned around the barricades there. The other 2 here are probably going to look to take out the 3 Marines at this side. In the middle, everyone is basically garrisoned around the Wolves to see whether or not we can take them down. I am going to be overcharging, unsurprisingly, and then with all of the bolter fire and everything, we'll hopefully be able to do a little bit more damage. The Scouts have remained where they are because they can still see the battle leader down here. The Dreadnought, meanwhile, although it can't charge through the ruins, it can see through the window and get a few shots in at these guys here. And the Lieutenant, the Intercessors, and the Lone Interceptor are going to try and take out the Predator. Hopefully we can take this flank back at least. So we've got a quick bit of Psychic to do, and then we'll move on to shooting. Right, shooting phase, not amazing, but the interceptors did manage to kill the 3 Grey Hunters there. And even with support fire from the intercessors, we only did a single wound to the Terminators down here. Not good at all. Up here, although the Dreadnought can't charge through the ruins, like I said, he could see through the window. So he did manage to kill, was that 3 Marines, Martin? 2 Marines that we managed to kill there. And then at this side, we managed to drop the Predator down to only 4 wounds. So these guys are going to be charging in. Meanwhile, the Scouts, overcharged Hellblasters, and all of the bolt of fire here managed to only kill 2 Wolf. And Martin tanking a lot on them Thunder Shields, Storm Shields rather, but we did eventually take 2 of them down. So the squad's thinned down a bit, but I'm still not liking it at all. Martin, like I said, passing a lot of those invulnerable saves with the Hellblasters, doing 2 damage each, being overcharged as well. Charge phase, I'm probably only going to do 1 because I don't want to charge this here. So combats, despite these guys all making it in, I didn't take any damage to Overwatch. We couldn't kill the Predator. Not a single wound done. So I do score Supremacy because I've got more models within 3 than Martin here. I score this one down here, and I hold this one. So that is D3 victory points for me, on top of just Scour the Skies that I've got. That gives me a total of 5 points. Let's move into Space Wolves, turn 3. Right, so Wolves turn 3. Martin has got Area Denial. As long as there's no enemy unit within 6 inches of the centre, he scores a point. Within 12 though, he does score D3, but there's a Leviathan there. He's still got Witch Hunter, which is kill the Librarian, and Defend Objective 1, which isn't good because I've also got Defend Objective 1. So hopefully he doesn't get that. Movement phase, these guys have all pushed forward, trying to get in range of the interceptors over here. Maybe pulling them back was the bad idea. Maybe I should have pushed them forward and tried to take out this threat instead. But nevertheless, it is a training exercise, and we are here to see what the Primaris Marines can do. And over this side, Martin's pulled the Predator back, and the Grey Hunters are going to be going forward here as well. So possibly going to do a lot of damage over this side. And of course down here, the Wolfen have moved and advanced around the back, looking to charge in against the Librarian and the Hellblasters and that horrible mess that's there. So yeah, let's see what happens, because these guys are going to be shooting in at them to lend a hand as well. So shooting phase, the Grey Hunters here, only one of the Melters managed to kill one of the Interceptors, and the Terminators managed to kill a single Marine at this side. Down here we lost 1 Hellblaster thanks to the plasma on the Grey Hunters here. So not amazing. And then over on this flank we lost 2 more Primaris Marines to the Grey Hunters. So the training mission, how is it going? Well, we don't know. Primaris Marines 100 points, you get 10 wounds. Normal Marines 130 points for 10 wounds, but the bolt guns dishing out almost the same firepower. Is it worth the point ratio for point ratio? 10 against 10? Well, I'm not sure at the moment. I'm thinking probably not. They are really cool, but yeah, I don't know whether or not. The Primaris Marines are a match for mass Grey Hunters, but we've got a few charges to make, I think, and I'm expecting some hurt to come in down here. Right, so in the combat phase, of course, these guys charged in and annihilated the Marines at this side, leaving the Lieutenant entirely by himself. And over here, it was a bloodbath. The battle leader managed to kill the Interceptors, or the Hellblasters even, and once again, not rolling a single 4+ because of the Ancient. The Captain in Gravis armor did do a heroic intervention, but the Wolves absolutely tore apart the Librarian and only put 3 wounds on the Ancient there as well. The Captain, meanwhile, 5 hits, 5 wounds, and despite the Gauntlet cutting through the Wolfen's power armor, Martin passed a hell of a lot of his 5-up feel no pains because of the Wolfen, and then struck back, did a couple of wounds, but I managed to pass them using one of my command point rerolls. So at the end of that, Martin does score Witch Hunter, and he scores 1 point for Area Denial, plus the 5 points that he's got previous, thanks to First Blood as well. Means he is in the lead, but it's still a play for. I've got to be strong, and I need to make sure I can do a lot of damage in this upcoming turn. Let's move into Blood Angels turn 3. Right, so going into Blood Angels turn 3, I did score defend objective 1 at the end of Martin's turn because he didn't make it to it. And so I need to stop him from getting it though, because he does have that. Defend objective 5, secure objective 5, and secure objective 4. So I thought long and hard about pushing the Leviathan into these guys to then consolidate this way, but Martin would then just move his Predator back and steal it from me in the next turn. So instead the Leviathan is coming down to try and take on these guys. The one lieutenant here is going to try and lend a bit of support to take out these guys. Depending how those do, we'll see where these guys are going to fire, because I need to thin these down, because if Martin makes it, he's going to score 2 victory points. I really need to think hard about victory points now. I don't know if I want to make any charges, because obviously if I make a charge and attack, Martin's just then going to use 2 command points and interrupt with the wolves. So I'm almost tempted not to charge and just go with those guys anyway. So let's move on to shooting and see what happens. Right, so shooting phase kind of went okay. You can see that there is no more Grey Hunters in the middle. The Leviathan with the heavy flame is only wounded twice. The melter gun's doing some. The lieutenant rapid fired in. The scouts even hurtled their sniper bolts in. And then the Marines here. And believe it or not, what happened is the intercessors killed 2, leaving 1 guy left. So I elected to split fire these 2. 1 at the Terminators and 1 into the Grey Hunter. And I failed all 5 wounds that I got against the lone guy. I used a command point to reroll and managed to take him out. So that will at least score me secure objective 4, but stopping Martin from getting defend objective 5, 1 even, it's probably not going to be a thing. So I've got no charges to make, so we're literally going to go straight into combat with this Captain with Gravis armor. It is worth noting as well though that I did remember to shoot the pistols for these guys, and we did inflict a single wound on one of the Wolfen, so hopefully I can take them out now. So combat, I elected to go with the Gravis armor first, and I put everything at the Wolfen. Maybe I should have split, but I didn't like the amount of 5-ups that Martin passed previously, so obviously we did manage to smash the Wolfen. The Wolfen in turn actually did 4 wounds total to the Gravis captain, despite me passing 1 of me reroll armor saves. And then the hammer, believe it or not, being on 2 wounds, the hammer itself came crashing down in his back while he was distracted with the Wolfen and tore him apart. He had 2 wounds left and the hammer went straight through his skull. So yeah, maybe that was a bad idea because you have to be within 3. But at least Martin's not going to secure it and steal it from me. Yeah, so let's move on to Space Wolf turn 4. So, obviously Primaris Marines still getting to grips with their rules, and I did manage to roll a 4+ thanks to the Primaris Ancient, allowing the captain to get 1 last attack before he died. And despite hitting, despite wounding, Martin passed his 3-up invulnerable save. I also don't score objective marker 4 because I'm not within 3 inches of it, and I've elected not to discard any cards. I can't discard secure 4 or 5. Right, so turn 4, Martin has drew secure objective 6 advance, so he has to get out of his deployment zone and defend objective 1. So the Predators actually came back over to secure this objective up here, which is number 5, so Martin is going to steal that from me, but it does mean though he won't get advance. These guys, however, are going to secure objective 6 and then look to take out the lieutenant that is round the corner there. And on this flank, this unit of Grey Hunters and the Terminators are looking to push forward into the Marines here and probably defend objective marker 1, because let's face it, I'm not likely to kill many of them Terminators, if any. So let's move on to shooting and see if the Primaris Marines can weather this storm. Right, so shooting phase, all the Grey Hunters at this side poured into the lieutenant, and it was only the overcharged plasma that did the 4 wounds. All of the bolt guns just ricocheted off the lieutenant's armor. He walks through fire. Meanwhile, the Leviathan took fire in the backside from the Predator, but no damage was done. And down here, these Marines lived to fight another day. The Melter's actually wounded twice, but Martin's first damage roll was a 1, so then the second one just killed the Marine. And then with all of the bolter fire and 3 storm bolters from the Terminators, left the 1 interceptor left on 1 wound. The assault cannon and 1 storm bolter managed to only slay a single Marine down here, and that was it for shooting. So we've got some combat. This guy's probably going to smash him in the face, but let's see what happens in combat. Right, so the last attack that we did do there was the melter damage. But yeah, Martin used the command point and re-rolled and got a 6, so that killed the other Marine outright. So let's move on to combat now. So combat, despite all the axes, the swords and the fists, that one Marine is alive on 1 wound. Martin even using a re-roll to try and kill him with a hit from the fist that went last. So Martin doesn't get defend 1 because it's the first time he's getting within 6 inches or 3 inches of it. Down here, the Wolf Lord killed the Primaris Ancient, and of course the Predator up at this side. Martin does score secure objective 5 from me, and he scores secure objective 6 from his own hand. So moving into Blood Angels turn 4, we've still got the same bank of cards. Let's see what we can do. Right, so defend objective 5, secure objective 4, and mission critical objective score. Objective 1 I rolled the dice for, and that didn't happen. I've done the entire turn. So I tried to get this guy to run 5 inches to get me secure objective 4, but unfortunately, even with a reroll, I didn't make it, which meant basically the plan was get the Leviathan over here and charge this guy to get me onto objective marker 5. But I went for objective 4 instead, and I thought, right, pair of melter guns. Martin passed a save, failed 1, and used his last command point to reroll for that save. The scouts even fired in and did nothing either. Even with the help from the Primaris lieutenant there, he did make a run move to behind him. And of course the Terminators down here tore apart that lone Marine who just stood there flailing his arms around while he was tore apart with power swords. So yeah, the only thing I do is score objective marker 4. Let's move into Space Wolves turn 5. Right, so turn 5 for the Space Wolves. Martin has drew secure objective 5, advance, and secure objective 3. So obviously secure objective 5 means he's not going to get advanced. I really wish I'd pushed the Dreadnought this way now, because then when Martin had drawn that, I would have scored it, and I would have scored defend. So never mind, it was a risk I took. And basically the Grey Hunters and the Terminators have all pushed forward and poured everything they had into the Leviathan, and the Terminators are actually closest to the Lieutenant and dropped him down to only a single wound. Objective marker 3 is this one back here, so the captain has had to stay back on there, but these guys down here poured everything into the scouts and killed 4 of them. So Martin does score secure objective 5 with the Predator and secure objective 3 with the Wolf Guard, but he doesn't score advance. So it's going to be tied for the Blood Angels, but can they come out on top? Who knows? So we drew secure objective 2, defend 5, and behind enemy lines, and that pretty much wasn't happening. So we've just done the entire turn. The scout and the lieutenant took pot shots at the Wolf Guard, but did nothing. Meanwhile, down here, melter guns from the Leviathan managed to kill 2 of the Terminators, and the heavy flamers managed to take out, what, 6? I rolled an 11 from your 2d6, and then of course the Leviathan and the Lieutenant charged in, and with that Siege Claw, tore apart what was left of the Grey Hunters. So I don't score any points. I'm going to discard defend objective 5, but although that is almost the end of the training mission, does it continue on the roll of a 3+? We'll let Martin do the roll. I want it to oh, it continues. Martin doesn't like this. I was just saying as well, it's only the second time he's come out, and it's a shame it took him so long to get where he's going, but when he got where he was going, it made a mess. And I almost kind of wish now, like when I had secure 4, I wish that I'd gone after objective 5, because I'd have scored defend and stole your 5, Martin, and obviously you wouldn't have had a Predator there either. So let's move into turn 6 and see what happens. So turn 6, Martin has behind enemy lines, advance and secure 5 again. Secure objective 5, honestly, right, if that Leviathan had gone that way, like I'd have had like an extra 4 or 5 points at this point, and obviously Martin wouldn't have. So yeah, the Dreadnought, the Predator, even fired into the Lieutenant that was actually the closest model and killed him. These guys shot into the scouts and killed him, and the Wolf Guard, of course, tore into the lieutenant there and killed him. Meanwhile, the Terminators fell back and did a single wound to the Leviathan. Toughness 8 with a 2-up save, man. That's insane. So Martin does score behind enemy lines and secure objective 5, and he's probably way ahead on points. But yeah, let's see if I can actually do anything in my turn. So we just added up the points. I'm currently on 5 points. Martin's on 15, 16, because he's got Slay the Warlord, he's got First Blood. Yeah, and he has a lot of cards, whereas I'm only getting a couple. So I've got secure objective 2, and behind enemy lines, which if I got there would score me 3 points, but because Martin is on 16 and I'm on 5, I ain't going for objective 2. So basically the Leviathan tore into the Terminators and killed them, and that was it. So Martin does it go on to turn 7. 4+. No. Wow, what an absolute bloodbath. Like, he is insane when he gets where he needs to go, but if you consider, he's basically gone the long way around the board. But yeah, Primaris Marines, do you think that they're worth the points, Martin? They've got 2 wounds each, but you've just showed they're having 40 bodies.
I do, yeah. I do think they're worth the points. I did take a lot of infantry myself, but that's because I didn't bring it.
Yeah, Martin knew I was bringing Primaris Marines, so he'd rather have more bodies. Obviously, the -1 of the bolt rifle is very handy against single wound models, but Martin decided to try and just basically outweighs with dice, getting double the number of shots essentially for not much more points. I don't know if I like Primaris Marines yet. They're very useful, but I think that they need a little bit more synergy or a little bit more work. I love the Leviathan. I think he needs to jump in a Storm Raven next time maybe though. Drop pod. That's a lot of points though. 105 for a normal pod which you can't ride in, and then he has to buy a Lucius pattern which isn't available at Forge World, and it's about 150 points. So it's a case of 150 points for a pod or 300 for a Storm Raven. I think I'd rather have the Storm Raven. But yeah, the card's not on my side at all today. Martin got very lucky, especially with your secure objective 5, you defend objective 5s. I basically left the Predator there just pumping dice all over the board. But yeah, Martin, it's been a pleasure playing against the Space Wolves. Fantastic game, and like I said, just cards not on my side today. If you're interested in coming down Battle Bunker to play a game, there is a Facebook group, so I'll post a link to that in the description. There's loads and loads of players of 40k, Age of Sigmar, Heresy, you name it. Somebody is playing it, and the tables are absolutely fantastic. So please check them out on Facebook, and until next time, folks, we'll see you again soon.